So I couldn't even tell you what beef
You're not really missing
tastes
anything,
like.
It's not the best crisp flavour.
Who would be your dream sponsorship for this?
That's a great question.
Dream spot, like crisp based or just
in general.
Can be crisp based, but like there are, you can be.
We get 3 items, you mean?
We get 3 items. We have to legitimately be happy to authorise.
I'd like to
sponsorship options from cheese.
I should go for Stilton, considering we're not that far away from
that's a good
Stilton.
choice.
Yeah.
Melton Mowbray, you could have pork pies.
Oh, full picnic. Love it.
like a full picky tea. Like, that's it. Food sponsored by Picky Teas. Like,
Every guest has to eat a Scotch egg. I take sponsorship from a tattoo
Yes.
Tattoo?
place.
yeah, I'll be all over that.
Oh, I think I'm the only one here that doesn't have a tattoo. Is that right?
Well, not if you want to stay on this podcast. If we got that sponsorship deal,
I'm going to get one.
you're going to get a cat's paw tattoo. Hello, everybody, and welcome to We the Poets.
Yay!
Hello.
Hello, this is our final episode of the second series. It's been quick this time around. And we're all here in the studio. We've got myself, Mark Grist, we've got Leanne Moden, we've got Keely Mills.
Hello.
We got Sandhu.
Yo.
And we've got Charley Genever.
Yo.
And we've all come back here to have a chat about how the year's gone. First of all, before we go into this, thank you so much for listening to the series. If you've listened to other episodes, if this is your first episode, you're very welcome, but you might want to go back a bit because we're going to chat a little bit in this episode about the things we've experienced in our conversations and what we've kind of got from this. And I think you will probably get the most out of this episode if you've tried to listen to a couple of other episodes. I say tried, they're pretty... we're biased, but we've got a lot out of these. And
so much, yeah.
Yeah, and we think, if you want to have a listen to any of those, come back here afterwards. We can talk about what we've kind of got from this whole project. Thank you so much for having sent poems in. We've got so many of them. So if you are listening today because you want to hear some poems, we're going to get those. If you want to hear us reflecting on what we've been to, we're going to get that. If you want to just hear some people slightly anxious, not sure, knowing if we're going to get a third series or what we're going to do with that, you're going to get that vibe from us as well. But for now, shall we go around the room and just chat about this year and maybe share something that's been really good and maybe also share something that has been like challenging in some way. I'll start. So for me, things that have been good. So I've been writing children's picture books. So I've got a couple of these out at the moment with Bloomsbury, which is really nice. But I've been working on more picture books. It's quite a ruthless industry, picture books. I think I'm kind of in what people would call like the churn. So I'm making things and they are getting in shops, but you've got to keep there because you're not guaranteed. You know, Julia Donaldson, like Michael Rose, and these guys are like in the tower. They're kind of secure and they're making stuff. The rest of us, we've got to kind of make sure we're kind of producing stuff. I've written 3 new picture books and I've just about finished them. This week is my deadline for sending them off. So I'm really happy. I really like them. So now I get to go into this whole bracket before Christmas of like going, is anyone going to want to buy them? If we're going to cut a deal on anything. So yeah, but I'm really, really happy that I've got these ideas and they've kind of got to the point that I think that I like them. I think they make me smile and make me think. So hopefully that's good. Challenges for me. So I tour a lot, visiting schools, a lot in the UK, but mostly overseas. And so I've been to a lot of different countries, which is cool. But I think I am not as present as I would like to be back home. And I think for me, trying to work out how to be more present for my wife, Lucy, how we can kind of do more stuff together and how I can maybe, I don't know if any of you find this, I think sometimes as an artist, I think people can get either maybe it's a bit stuck in one of 3 things, either the past a bit, and they're kind of caught up on something that has pained them or has hurt them, and it kind of stifles you and it kind of like stops you creating because you kind of heads too much in the past. You can be too much maybe in the present where you're not really kind of working out the next thing you're going to do, and you kind of find you kind of a bit, you know, you're just kind of like focused on the immediate stuff and you don't have a plan. Or for me, I think I've been a bit too focused in the future. So I'm never really kind of just enjoying the present and being about, because I'm always trying to write an application, get something in, line something up. And so for me, I think I'm going to try and be more enjoying the present, I think. That's my plan. Anyone else?
So mine's sort of similar to that. This year, my good thing was that I actually gave myself a summer off for the first time since I started being like a full-time freelance person.
Yeah.
Had like most of August to myself, went on holiday, you know, stopped chasing all the things that you're chasing and in that churn. And it was really good, really refreshing, really like a lovely experience. But then that becomes the challenge because now we're into the autumn, got less things coming through because I wasn't doing that keeping things. You have to always be putting bids in, you have to always be, getting interviews and all that kind of thing. So I'm now in a bit of a lull period.
Okay.
And it's making me think, well, maybe I shouldn't have taken that time off, which is ridiculous because you're allowed to take time off, aren't you? And you know what it's like when you're a freelancer. Things will pick back up again, won't they? But it's just, I think it's about noticing those patterns and being okay in that uncertainty for me that's been the challenge this year.
Yeah, and interesting. There's difficulties with both patterns, right?
Yeah.
Like what you're saying is kind of, I should have done that.
Yeah.
And vice versa, finding that middle ground between everything all the time, isn't it?
Exactly.
Mine was kind of similar to like what you guys have been talking about because good thing for me, I've quit teaching fully. And I've just jumped into creative stuff full time. And I think the reason that's been like the best thing for me is it feels like it's unlocked my brain, really let me think about things on a bigger scale. I don't know if any other poets do this. When I talk to poets about this, they look at me like I'm crazy. But when I started writing and everything, I wrote like a 5-year business plan for me as an artist. And I'm at the end of that 5 years. And it's kind of looking back at that. And then even little things that I've been putting into place, I've been like, why didn't I do that 3 years ago? That was such a simple thing for me to do and get set up. But my brain just wasn't in the place of looking at that and everything. But then that's kind of come with the double-edged sword because it's kind of let my ADHD just go, do whatever you want. It's coming up with all these really cool things that are doing, like I'm doing music bits, I'm producing stuff, I'm doing a novel, I'm doing all sorts of like absolute nonsense. But then like you said, I'm currently in that bit where I'm not doing anything but hammering out applications and bids. And I don't find myself getting much downtime, or I kid myself that it's downtime. That's not a day off.
A day off really exists anymore. In a way.
And especially with like everything just being on your phone as well. So I've just started like just putting my phone on flight mode, or going up to the football with my brother, I just give him my phone. So I can't, even if it beeps up and someone's asking about a project or something, I can't physically look at it. So that's been one thing that I've been able to do. What is nice, to be fair, is that when I don't respond to people, because they know me, they're not like offended by it and they don't get upset. They're just like, if it's urgent, I'll ring him because then he will answer his phone. But if it's a message that's not that urgent, it's okay. We know how his head works and all of this. So that, because I was really worried about that, like people thinking I was just ignorant for not responding, but most people are really sound with it, surprisingly. Mm. But it's that finding that balance, isn't it? That like you said, like everyone has their own levels of what that balance is, and kind of it needs to be fluid, doesn't it? It needs to dip and change for as you're kind of like going through the year and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And you have to be okay with that as well. It's like, it's not like a 9 to 5 in that, you know, you've got to be at your desk every day at a certain time. Sometimes you can be like, I'm just going to go to the seaside today or whatever, and that is okay.
Yeah.
And it all feeds your creativity, doesn't it? Mm.
Because I'm full-time with my quote-unquote day job, I don't have much annual leave left this year to take the holidays. I think that's been my challenge, is similar to what we're all saying. I think I've been close to burning out a couple of points this year. But on the flip side, that's been because the projects I've had have been wicked this year.
Yeah,
I've
you've
had
been super busy.
So busy. Stuff creatively for me as well with my show, which was really great to give myself that time to work on something that was a big piece of work. But then I've also had loads of really good young people sessions and projects this year that have been really soul-filling.
What kind of projects?
Some of the like poets in schools of the Poetry Society, going and doing poetry workshops. I did this project called Steph's Poetry Space, again with the Poetry Society, which was 3 sessions with the same group in different schools, so building a bit more of a relationship. And the theme on that was mental health, so that was really cool. And I'm just about to be on the Young Poet Laureate Poets programme, so I'll be running some sessions end of November for Young Poets Week, which is really exciting.
Yeah, with National Literacy Trust, right?
Yeah, and National Poetry Centre. Yeah, so like establishing myself as a young person's facilitator and running creative projects has grown massively this year. And I think I'm noticing the ripple effect of then the other kinds of gigs and stuff I'm getting. I feel like it's a surprising way that that's got my name out there a bit more, because obviously quite often it's in closed environments in schools and people don't see the output of what you're doing. But it seems to be working, which is great. But on the flip side, definitely not very good still at just taking time for myself or switching off or doing like you were saying about like the applying for stuff I don't do as much as I used to do, or like applying or trying to get published or blah 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 blah. I don't do as much of that anymore, and then I beat myself up for not doing that, because I'm like, I'm not a poet if I'm not applying for these things. But yeah, that's been the challenge, but I'm acknowledging it at the same time. So, yeah. What about you, Keely?
Well, I'm always so impressed by everybody and what you all do, because I don't really do anything. I think this year, this has been good for me, this podcast and doing Shambhala and meeting people like Murray. It's been good because this year was about me giving up one of my jobs and jumping off and being more creative and doing more poetry. And I started off at the beginning of the year being offered a lot of gigs and projects and starting to apply for stuff. And then I've had issues with, being diagnosed with osteoarthritis, and one of my knees is pretty much crumbling. So I've not been able to walk or do stuff. So I've had to cancel a lot of things, and I've had to retract, go inwards even more than I have done, because I've not been able to do stuff. So for this year, I felt like this podcast has kept me going, has kept me feeling like I'm still a poet, even though I'm not writing, I'm not really gigging, because I'm having to adjust to stuff and where I'm at the moment. But I feel like I've still got like a footing, so that when I'm able to recuperate, I'll be able to like jump off again. I'm always going to be a poet, and it's still going to be the same when you get back out there. People might have changed, the landscape might have changed slightly, but you're always going to be a poet. It doesn't matter if you've not written for 5 years, 6 years, 2 years, or not gigged in that time. You're still going to be that person. And what I've learnt so far, I'm still going to be able to use that in the future. And if right now I'm having to go inwards, well, then I'm having to go inwards, because I need to look after the basics. And sometimes with what you guys are doing, you're always going, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. But you've got to take time. You've got to look after the basics. You've got to look after, because you are your instrument. And if you don't look after that, life is seasonal. We're just about to go into winter, and you're saying about, like Leanne, you're saying about uncertainty. Well, if we were all farmers, which technically I am, let's just say, this time of year, we're going into a lull, and we should be going into a lull. Nature goes into a lull. We should be. And whether that's psychically in the year, or whether it's like, I need 2 years where I just have a bit of a breather. And that's the thing that I've had to realise this year, that I'm still the same person, just at the moment I can't do the things that I really want to do. Yeah. But I will. I'll get there. Yeah. So I feel like this podcast has kept me going and kept me, I sat there with Murray, Lachlan Young thing, like, I've still got it. Yeah. I still can do it.
Yeah, it was a great story from Murray. We'll talk about all this, but I mean, Keely, I think that's a lot we can all take from that as well.
I hope so.
Because, yeah, you're right. Like, at certain points with all of us, we're going to have to, pull back.
Anything could happen. And in that moment, you do not want to be putting on top of that, I'm really crap because I'm not being ultra productive and that I'm not being ultra creative and I'm not being ultra this, because right now you can't. You've got to put your energy into this thing, but it doesn't distract from the way that you're still that person. And that if I decide tonight to go and sit down and write a poem, I can still write a poem.
Yeah. Plus,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I really think as well, you're not just writing the poem when you put the pen on the paper. You're kind of writing in your head through all these things. Georgia, last episode, she shared a poem and she said it just poured out of her on the train. It's an amazing poem. And me and Chris were listening to it, and I was just like, they're going, you didn't just write this on the train though, right? Everything that she was drawing from is building up to before it. If you're listening to this right now and things that Keely's mentioned are ringing true for you, if you beat yourself up at all because you think you're not as much of a poet because you're not creating at this point in time, you're having a breather for yourself, or because you've got other responsibilities or something has come in that's kicking in, please know that we all think you're doing great. You are a poet.
Yes.
Yeah, you absolutely are a poet. Take another few months, take another year, take as long as you need. Yeah. You're still a poet during all that time. You're still writing poetry in your head. There you are.
Yeah.
I always like to think it feels like it's the off season. Sports stars, they have to take downtime, otherwise they get injured and they can't carry on doing anything. Every time I end up taking a break, I come back slightly different. I took time off for everything because I had knee surgery and then I had a shoulder injury and I couldn't do anything. And then I didn't write anything. But when I came back, I found I was writing very differently to how I was before because it was just life had changed. And
it's not just that. When you're creative, it's the emotional muscles that you have and the way you see the view, how you view the world. If I carry on being who I am all the time and everything's brilliant, I'm only going to write from that aspect. If you have stuff happen to you in your life, whatever that is, whether it's grief, you lose somebody, then that makes you different. Like you said, you emotionally see the world differently. I see the world differently now at the moment than I did previously. And that means that when I get back to writing poems, I'll be able to connect with a different audience that see the world in that way or suddenly have something happen to them.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We've got a great poem we could listen to at this point. It was sent in to us. It's got some music bedding underneath it. I know, fancy. And it's all about the power and the pressure of trying to be big.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Shall we have a listen to that?
100%.
This piece was sent in by Shaq. It's part of an album called Which Way the Words Grow. It's a really interesting piece and it's called Big.
Bigger, better, me. Me was never better for being bigger, me was better for being me. Bigger was hard to become me, so being me had to become bigger. Becoming fixated on my figure, the flaws in my figure are like walls I can't climb. I often look in the mirror and stare at my waistline, imagining what it would look like if I was muscular and defined. The cogs turn as I walk on the conveyor belt of life. No matter the pace, I maintain my place, my train of thought, train of course, to give my body structure and not look like a dork, to not be little anymore. Feeling like a twig in what I wore, names were being called, makes me easily snap at the fall. Twigs are weak, which even now is ingrained in my thoughts. It's like a force pushing me to carry on the course of becoming bigger. But it never stops, as I will never be big enough. Every inch of muscle is just one drop in the ocean of loss. Loss of self-confidence. This extreme behaviour is a consequence. It took a few broken relationships to acknowledge it. A lot of spinning the wheels, driving to zero accomplishments. It's astonishing that every monument I thought I had hit wasn't satisfying. But I still had to swallow it. My body is what it is. It may not fit an image, but at least I'm fit. That's how I tried to sell it to myself, even though I just lift so. The truth is I'm not even fit, just fake, to make me look a certain way. In a shallow frame, and my frame doesn't even represent how many times I trained to get over my own mind games. How many calories I overate to compensate for the comments that were made about what a man should be. Big and muscular. Big is what I must be. Be bigger until bigger becomes me. Me was never big, so I let big overshadow me.
Thank you so much, Shaq. It's a cool piece, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wicked. I loved the rhythm and how it almost broke into proper rhyme and like the inner rhymes and that play on words, but then there was that restraint at the same time. So it was like that trying to be bigger with the rhythm, but then it, held it in. It was wicked.
I was going to say, I'm really biased because he's not only my mate, but he's just one of my favourite spoken word poets as well. Like the way he commands a stage when he like does his live things is just incredible.
Well, look, we'll put a link to Shaq's work in the description. I think we all got a lot from that. Thanks so much for sending it in. If you want to send in work to us, you can send it to mark@wethepoets.com. We are all wrapped for this season, but if anything comes in the inbox, I'll be sure to get back to you on it. And we are hoping to make another season next year. And if we are, we will definitely keep anything in that inbox in mind for future episodes. Maybe we could have a chat then about, at this point, about the series so far and what we've got from it, because Keely said it's been really good for you. It's been really good for me. I've loved getting to work with you guys on this. Maybe if we go through episode by episode. So we had one of our early episodes was with Theresa Lola, and it was me, you, Jay, and Theresa. Theresa's work was all about the ceremony of names.
Yeah.
How did you find that chat?
I think it was really interesting talking to her about things from a cultural point of view, how even cultures that are in completely different parts of the world have quite similar traditions and powers to certain things and things like this, and the fact that she did certain bits of it in other languages, and we was talking about wanting to explore her heritage and I'm wanting to explore mine. It's led me to write loads more about heritage and research more, and even write in Punjabi a bit more. And I'm sure there'll be people out that listened to it and thought, oh, I thought that was just me and my family and my culture. I didn't realise that this was all over the place and loads of people were doing this. And also, the one thing I really found interesting was just her approach to creativity. It just seemed very... She's kind of target meticulousness, but went with the flow of where it kind of took her. She kind of planned what she wanted to do, but was quite happy being the river within that space.
Yeah, she said she wasn't ever completely certain where the poem would go. It's like an exploration of something. So Theresa Lola said to us that she kept a pad. This is a great question that Jay asked. It was one of your students had asked this. You were teaching at the time. Said, how do you know so many big words? Which is a question we wouldn't have thought to ask, but this is what the student had asked. And she said, oh, I have a pad, and every time I read and I encounter a word I've not met before, I open a dictionary and I read up and find out what the word means, and I make a note of the word. And she's been doing that as a pattern for a while, and she'd never mentioned it to anyone. We never would have found that out.
It really let me this year kind of be oh, I'm allowed to start something and not know where it's going until it's done, because the journey of writing it is the poem in certain aspects. Do you know what I mean? And I think when you can write something that not only goes across generations and cultures, but also to poets and non-poets, I think you're doing something that's insane there. I think it was really thought-provoking for me, coming away and then going back to the children as well after they'd listened to it, and they got really, really excited.
Really?
Because they'd listened back to it, and there was this person's book who we just read, and you actually asked them the questions that they was really excited about that, which was really nice again.
That's cool. I think we could try and do more of that if we do another series, get some more kid questions. Charley. So the next episode we had after that was with Hollie.
Yes, Hollie McNish.
Can I share something before we even do this? It was amazing. So Hollie is a really big name in poetry, deservedly so. She's produced some amazing work. She connects with audiences in a way that I think maybe some people from outside the scene don't realise how clever it is what she's doing, or because not everyone can do it, but she does it and she makes it look effortless. She came on this series, and it's the only time I have ever had to chase someone from an invoice afterwards, because obviously we're funded with public funding from the Arts Council. All our guests come on and they get paid for their time. Hollie thought she was doing that for free. And so afterwards she said, oh, what, you're going to pay me as well? And I was like, Hollie, of course we're going to pay you, Hollie McNish, to be on the episode and do that. So a side note, I just think that was the idea that she would have come on and done that, thinking that she was doing it for free and share so much of her experiences with criticism, is a real testament to her character, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It just captures that generosity, because the episode, as a massive fangirl, it was a dream, like one of my career highlights, to be in the same room and having a good old chat. Hollie was one of the first professional poets I met way back when I started. And she was just as generous then with her time, sitting down, having a chat. But she's just incredible, so incredible. What I loved about our conversation was the stuff around criticism, first and foremost, and the way she's able to stand her ground and not take it, but do so in such a honest, unaggressive, evidenced way. Like her way of kind of articulating herself and challenging the elite, challenging those. And
she's not going to stop, is there?
No,
that's what you like.
Exactly,
she's not going to stop.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't hold her back. The other thing that my favourite little bit was probably the teabagging conversation and poetry and translation. I love that. But also, actually, from a writing point of view, the thing that I've held on to the most is when she was talking about her final edit and how she removes those really personal autobiographical images. And as someone who writes really autobiographically a lot of the time, that really blew my mind, that you could still be that authentic with a feeling or a message, but take out those little jigsaw pieces.
Yeah. So if you haven't heard the episode, Hollie shared a piece about food and how powerful food can be in showing how you feel about people. And in it, she mentions her partner is cooking a certain food item, and she said that was not the food item that he would be making. I deliberately take out the actual meals that he cooks for me and swapped it with something else that just sounds like any type of food for anyone else, and it's fine. But I keep what he actually cooks for me.
Yeah.
And there are things that I do, and I do a whole pass where I keep those things for me.
Yeah.
I'd never heard someone say that before.
No,
and it's
me
really
neither.
interesting.
And I've since tried to apply that to some of my own writing, and I've noticed a difference in the level of vulnerability then on stage or the aftermath of it. It felt like a good choice for me to try a little bit of that. That was wicked. That was really, really wicked.
Wow. Okay, well, maybe we could hear another poem at this point.
Yeah, sounds good.
So this piece comes with its own introduction. I don't really need to say anything, but we really, really enjoyed it, and we think you will too.
My name is Dawn Vincent. I am at Dawn is Losing the Plot on Instagram, and I run a poetry night with a fellow awesome poet called Lorna McKinnon. That night is called Poetry's a Drag. You can find it through the link in my bio. And I wanted to share a poem today called How to Heal a Broken Heart. Leave surprises in your work bag. Love yourself the way you wish to be loved. Love yourself the way she did, or at least used to. Okay, love yourself the way you showed her love. Except the break is not going to repair pretty. No kintsugi, just 1,000 tiny fragments to pull out with tweezers, your mouth filling with spit. Except there will be a tiny hole in you for what could have been. Surround yourself with people who feel like sunshine. Absorb some of it. Hate how much that reminds you of a quote she loved while she was out hurting you. Keep it in the poem anyway. Binge watch telly if you crave a fling with someone toxic. Just fall for Greg House and his sharp eyes, diagnosing, assessing, dismantling you through a screen without anything so messy as a bill to split or a bed to clean. Nothing to show for the ways he'll break you. Know that Wilson was the better choice all along, but you'd still pick House. I'm going off track. Buy yourself the fanciest chocolate to delight in sharing. None of it. Stretch your legs, bed to yourself, blink a few times, breathe out. Let your heart shrink a bit to check for repairs. That hopeful balloon has taken some beatings. Reassure the dog that no matter what, she'll have a good life. Reassure your mortgage advisor that no matter what, you'll afford some sort of life. Reassure yourself that no matter what, you'll have a great life. Finally, eventually, you'll wish each other well, but for now, gag a bit at love songs, ruin some cute couple selfies in their romantic locations. And when the time comes, let yourself trust and love. But until that thought stops curling your toes, live your best life, babe. Just live.
Oh, what a great piece. That's from Dawn Vincent. That is called How to Heal a Broken Heart. Dawn Vincent, if you want to get hold of her Instagram, it's at Dawn is Losing the Plot. That's great, isn't it? Dawn, we loved that. That was so cool to listen to. I love the journey that it goes on.
The reference to House.
Yeah.
I saw you, Keely, you were nodding there.
Hugh Laurie every time. You do though, don't you? When I've had COVID, I like to watch Jonathan Creek. Binge watch something to get you through what is a crappy time.
Holly would have removed House. It wouldn't have even been House, right? She'd have gone for a completely different series of something.
Right.
But do you know what? There's something amazing about being specific, isn't there? Because I've not actually watched House. I don't know about anyone else. I've not watched it. But I was like, I kind of like how specific. Yeah, you get it still. Thank you so much for sending that in. Shall we move on to our next episode? So, Keely.
Mr. Murray Lachlan.
Mr. Murray Lachlan Young.
Young. What a legend.
Yeah, no, I think of all the episodes, this is probably the one that I was most keen to try and get hold of Murray, just because for me, I toured supporting him when I first that was the first tour I ever did. And I got speaking to him and the story sounded, quite painful, but quite incredible. If you've not heard the episode, Murray got given, he earned himself a £1 million record deal with EMI for the impact he was having with his work. And then the media response, his own personal response to that rise and other people's response to it, he kind of went in and explained about the whole thing. How did you find?
I felt like we didn't realise that was happening to you. What has happened to you. But I think the main thing I got from that episode is just be kind. Just be kind to each other. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing.
Yeah.
And also that I think it's such a shame that sometimes there's people in this industry to make money out of you and to do nasty things.
Yeah.
And that's really sad because sometimes we're in this lovely little fluffy world where we share poetry and have a laugh and be with each other. But also his resilience, I just felt like was incredible. Also, he said one thing to me personally that has actually changed how I view myself. And it has nothing to do with the episode. So Mark always mostly gives me a lift from the centre of Peterborough to where we are. And this time we had Murray in the car as well. And I was hobbling around and I was not very mobile. And I think quickly Murray noticed this. And as we got to the car, and he says, where do you want to sit? Do you want to sit in the front or the back? And I went, I don't mind, Murray, wherever you want to sit. And he went, no, he says, where do you want to sit? What is better for you? And I went, well, actually, the front seat would be better. And he went, you, my dear, need to get better at telling people what you need. Mm-hmm. And I was like, whoa. He absolutely floored me. I was like, and ever since then, I've just had that phrase in my head, like, I need to get better at saying what I need, from somebody that had literally met me 5 minutes. So his insight into people, into himself, I just thought was incredible. But that one thing had nothing to do with the episode. I'm really sorry. But for me, still has
Don't apologise. That's an amazing story. Yeah.
Has such an impact. And ever since then, I've just had that quote in my head, like, what do you need?
I've been thinking about getting a tattoo.
Yeah.
And I messaged him to tell him this. I've asked, I might get a tattoo with the 4 words at the end of his poem that he read on this series, because his poem is called Everything is Under Control, is the poem. And the 4 words at the end are nothing is under control. Just nothing is under control. And I thought, if I was to get one phrase that I think, for me, I think that's a really interesting phrase. So watch this space. I've started drawing up plans for the tattoo. So if I get a tattoo next, I think it will have those words.
Do you think it's an episode that maybe in a couple of years people will go back to and refer to, because we do crystallise what he went through, but then also where he is at. And also incredibly charming, like being sat with that presence. It was a lot.
Yeah. And his voice as well.
I was just about to say his voice is stunning.
Yeah.
Great voice.
And we both do tarot.
Yeah. So. The one thing I got from it, I think, is I think we could all benefit from, and myself as much as anyone, I would say, is like, check yourself. If someone is like having a success or having a moment where they're getting their flowers, even if you don't feel those flowers are as deserved as they could be, or you feel like they're getting more than, who are you? Your view on what is the right and the wrong way to write a poem is not
100%.
It's not the gospel way to write and to deal with a poem. And I do think we can do a lot of harm, and we're picking at this on the podcast now. And I don't want to come in too heavy-handed, but I do feel that having been for a lot of the episodes, it does feel like there's a recurring thing where like poets sometimes are not checking themselves and realising that someone else's success is not about you. It doesn't have to be about you. I know the resources are quite tight for us, and sometimes it feels like we're scrabbling, but if you want to listen to an episode and you kind of or at least made me reflect on like, if someone's actually getting a success, if you're thinking about yourself in relation to that rather than maybe they need some support, then you got to worry about how you're responding to other people's success.
It made me think as well. It made me think of Scroopius Pip's phrase.
Yeah.
I love you, Scroopius Pip.
Yeah, Scroops had a lot of...
I may not be for you, but that's okay.
Yeah. I think Hollie's chat made me think about that as well.
Yeah.
The thing that blew my mind is this idea. That got me thinking when I was like, oh, actually, it's totally fine for people not to like your poetry. Probably the majority of people in the world won't. The idea, for me, it's been kind of like amazing to go, oh, most people probably won't like your poetry. That's okay. But if we don't like what someone's doing, we can think about how we operate with compassion.
Just keep your mouth shut. Move on.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to make money out of it.
Unless you want to save that whole poetry world. And it's like
saving.
Okay, so moving on, the next episode we had was our conversation with Berkavitch. And it's been really lovely, actually, I think, to see how Berkavitch has evolved as an artist. And I think this space at Shambhala has been really, really good for him. We all went to Shambhala and we had a great time. We kind of got a lot out of that performance. We connected with like a bunch of people from it, and we got to see a load of other artists. It was really good. And it's cool to see how that space is growing. I think it's starting to become one of the most exciting kind of festival poetry stages in the UK in how it's developing. And I think it's been really cool to see. The conversation as well about Glastonbury and what festivals have meant to him has been really interesting. How did you find the episode, Leanne?
Yeah, it was really great. I especially really liked him taking us like a behind the scenes about how it feels and how it works being a residential poet at a festival. So he was poet in residence at Glastonbury last year. I think that's right. And all the rigmarole that comes with that, the idea that you are performing at lots of different stages to lots of different types of audiences in really short succession.
Yeah, and some of those you might not get a big audience.
Yeah.
The gig he liked the most was one of the gigs he liked the most was when there weren't that many people there. But it went from like 0 when he went on stage to there was about 15 or 20 people. For him, that was like a net positive.
Yeah.
And then he also went on before Pete's band, which was Pete's band, as he was told, which turned out to be the Libertines, and it was Pete Doherty. So he went on stage with thousands of people, and he performed the piece with everybody talking, everything jostling, and he really didn't like that gig. He didn't hate the gig, but it was his least favourite of all of the performances. Whilst that was the kind of probably the biggest in writing, probably the biggest thing you'd say you'd done, right? But he didn't enjoy it half as much as those smaller crowds.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I got from the conversation was him talking about that idea of making the connection with the audience and how that was even more important when you're in a festival setting because there are so many distractions around you. So you've really got to hone in on what makes your poetry special and what makes an audience want to listen and want to stay. And what I thought was really interesting, I said something offhand about thinking about what to do with my hands when I'm performing, and he talked about how he choreographs his performances
to within an inch of its life.
Isn't that interesting? Wow. I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. So the rest of the team hasn't heard this episode because it's literally coming out tomorrow. So his favourite gig at Glastonbury, Berko would he found out the band that were playing on the stage opposite, he knew there would be sound bleed from that stage. And so he watched them do the set that they were touring around the UK, and he timed his poems to work with their set.
Wow,
so all the music that would be playing bleeding through, he then prepared and worked out the timings of all these poems and the order. So actually, and they did play in the set list that they were touring as they were going. And so actually his poems fused with the bleeding music that was going through. I mean, he joked that he doesn't think people realise how much of a psychopath he is when he's doing it.
But I found that really interesting, that idea that you can and you have room to do all that. You have room to think about what you do at any point in a poem. It sort of gave me permission to think about those things, because I feel like I'm always coming at my poetry from a write a good poem and the rest will take care of itself kind of thing. But there is this really important factor in performing your poem of thinking about where you're standing, who you're looking at, how you even do your breath while you're talking or while you're doing your poem. And I think that for me was really useful, because we spoke just like maybe a few weeks before we did Shambhala, and I really took that on board when I was thinking about my poems for that, and it really helped me out.
I think there's also something about other performance skills related to that, because I know Berka does a lot with dance, or used to as well. We had a conversation after Shambhala, because if I don't mind saying, I think I did an all right set.
Smashed it.
But
all right.
It took a long time to get to that level of confidence and ego, but a huge part of it for me, I think, has been learning BSL and learning to use my hands and communicate in a very different way. And Berko, we had a little silent conversation at the backstage of Shambhala. But yeah, I think there's really something about that you can take from his work and others, how non-verbal or non-writing based performance.
And I think that's what he was talking about, was that using your wanting the connection with the audience to inform everything that you do on stage, verbal and non-verbal. And that was a real light bulb moment for me.
Working with Berko and speaking to him a couple of times, I ended up doing the exact opposite to that, where I'd write jokes that are for 5% of the audience, and like you do the joke and 4 people in the audience would laugh, but then that then becomes the point of that line where people are going like, what did you just say? And I'm like, that's not for you, don't worry about it. And it was like you said, having the confidence to be like, I'm actually deliberately, like intentionally writing something that 90% of the people listening to it aren't going to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but Jay, you do that in the context of a wider poem that still brings the whole audience in. So it's just almost like a little Easter egg. Yeah. And that's the way to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, it feels nice, but I felt like I had to have
Swift.
Your Taylor Swift.
I've never had that. That's a good thing, right? Yeah. But it was like having the confidence to do that, because when I started, I wouldn't have done that, or even like you were saying, like playing with breath, like saying a line and then just being like, and just waiting, because then the whole is like, what's going on? And it takes confidence. It takes, like you said, it takes someone to just say one thing to you to be like, okay, go on then.
When you're so comfortable with yourself on stage, like one of my favourite ever performances, Selena Godden, was her Bad Wasp poem.
Yeah.
She did it in Peterborough, and she just went off the poem and just started rewriting it live on stage, and it was just so entertaining.
What happens in the Bad Wasp poem?
She just keeps repeating Bad Wasp, and it's about a wasp that's like buzzing around. And yeah, I'm pretty sure she like redacted a line mid-sentence as well, because it wasn't as relatable. I just remember feeling so entertained and in awe of somebody that has this beautiful completed poem, but she can just pull it apart and rewrite it live on stage and be as equally as confident about it.
Yeah.
It was wicked.
Well, look, as you can hear, we've got a lot out of this series, with lots of things for us to kind of take away and think about. One of the things I definitely got out of it was that gig at Shambhala and getting out and performing more. And so we've applied for more funding. We'll see what happens with that. But if we're successful, the plan for season 3 is we're going to try and get out of this studio a bit more and get some open mics. Well, we want to pop around and see people at night. So we want to start trying to document the open mic circuit a bit more, head out to some more kind of festival locations.
Yeah, drop us some open mics.
we'd love to hear them. So
open mics.
If you get the chance, send us the names of your any open mics you think would be really good. The plan is, if we do get the funding, we're going to try and visit 15 open mics or 15 gigs.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and see if we can document kind of what we kind of take in from those and what we learn from all those.
I just kind of want to take the camper van and go on a tour of open mics.
Yeah,
that sounds incredible.
We could do that. Sorry, Chris is making a face. No, he's just.
He was saying something to me, but
all I can see in that mirror is the We the Poets sign.
Chris will go to an open mic.
Oh, Chris will
yes.
Oh, it's like having Lassie, isn't it? What is it? What is it, Chris? There's trouble at the old mill.
Yes, Chris, let's go to an open
Chris,
mic.
there you go. If you want to send us any open mic suggestions, mark@wethepoets.com. Chris may well turn up at your open mic and eat all the bread.
Vincent, watch out. We could end up at your night.
Okay, well, let's have one more poem to finish off. Let's find a nice poem for the end of the series. Okay, so this just made us smile. I think everything about this piece when it came in. This poem is by Gareth Barsby, and it is called Tell Me Your Story.
Tell Me Your Story by Gareth Barsby. Come sit in the living room. I'll open the door. I heard you have a story, so knowing this I implore that you sit down and tell it. Don't fear being a bore. I know you spent a lot of time on the characters and lore, and what you made as action and fantasy galore. And don't worry, I'm not squeamish. I won't mind the gore. Please don't be embarrassed. I won't think it a chore to listen to what you have made. I hope the words will pour out of your mouth and I'll enjoy it. Of that I am quite sure. A story is not worse because it's not popular and not being sold at a store. Storytelling is sharing. That's what it is at its core. Though don't share if you don't want to. If you's who you wrote it for.
Oh, thank you so much, Gareth, for sending that through. It really cracked us up, and it was just a really nice way of showing how much you can play around with rhyme and get an extra game in the poem out of it. Well, guys, we're all finished. Did you guys enjoy the final piece?
Yes.
Yeah, it was wicked.
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you so much, Gareth. Right, we're pretty much done. That is it. I hope as you listen to this, you've had a great journey with us. We've got a lot out of this. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to all the guests that we've had on this series, our kind of headline acts, Theresa Lola, Hollie McNish, Murray Lachlan Young, Berkavitch, and also, of course, to say a huge thank you to Georgia Priest, who joined me in the last episode. If you haven't listened to that episode, it is fascinating hearing about the journey of trying to create this arts festival, and we have loved working with Georgia, and we're looking forward to working with her in the next series as well. If you've got any ideas for poets that you'd like to hear from in the next season, please let us know. We've got a few people have messaged asking to appear on the show. We're going to try, if we do another series, we're going to try and find ways of getting some like smaller commissions at a certain point, or smaller payouts for poems, so that we can really kind of feature as many acts as we can. Thank you guys. It's been cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's really nice to feel part of a team. It goes without saying that we wouldn't sound anywhere near as palatable as we do sound without Chris. So should we give Chris a round of applause for everything?
Love you, Chris.
All that remains is to say thank you so much for joining us. We've been We the Poets. Thanks to Arts Council England for funding this project with public funding. Thanks to every single poet who has sent work into us. We have loved listening to it, and this series would not have been anywhere near as fun to work on if we hadn't had all those pieces. And we hope you have a fantastic time. We will let you know how we do. If we make more in the future, and if we don't, do you know what? We've got a lot out of it.
Yes, we are.
And we might just pop up anyway.
Exactly. Take over.